In a world where one woman tries to start a podcast,
how will I ever do this on my own?
She thought she would have to get expensive equipment.
What? I can do all of this on a free app?
She thought she would have to find creation tools all over the internet.
You mean it can all be contained in an app on my phone and computer?
She thought she would have to do all her own distribution.
You mean to tell me this app is going to send it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all those other platforms for me?
She thought she would never make any money.
I don't have to wait for a minimum listenership to monetize?
She thought that she would have to find all kinds of different equipment and pieces.
But I'm going to download this free Anchor app and get started today.
Visit Anchor.fm and download the free Anchor app to be just like her, the ultimate podcaster.
Hello and welcome to the Lou Review. I'm Rosa and I'm here with Brooke and Cynthia, and they have Manic Macarons. I had just interviewed someone else about their cookie making business, and yours is very different in its focus. So do you want to introduce yourselves and how you got started? You want to start, Brooke?
Okay. My name's Brooke. We went to high school together, and now we're much older than that. And we have a background in psychology, and with our mission statement, we just kind of wanted to bring everything full circle, and Cynthia will elaborate a little bit more on it because it's kind of her baby, the psychology part of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm mainly focused with the baking, and she's mainly focused.
So have you been making cookies in mass for a long time?
No, we started in April? Question mark?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
April?
Sorry. Hi, I'm Cynthia, by the way. No, you're totally fine. So we started this back in April, and we obviously spent the first 2 months troubleshooting, making macarons, just because they are such a finicky, temperamental dessert for any of those that might have tried them themselves. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like Brooke said, she's definitely like the would you be the bronze of the operation then? Mm-hmm. The muscle work,
the gold
baking?
medal. What do you mean?
I meant like the brains and the bronze. You know, like
yeah, I know. That's right. You did want to throw off all of the brainy psych stuff on her. So
yeah, no, that's just
leave you with the
I feel like we're pretty much 50-50 in all of it, honestly. Mm-hmm. We just she's very intellectual. She's a very intellectual being.
Yeah.
Like
like Brooke said, we both have our backgrounds in psychology. This is something that we're kind of like both passionate about.
Do you both are you in school at U of L, is that right?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I currently am looking to go back to school to get a PhD in clinical psychology. I think that I want to study trauma and childhood, and that's something that I find like I'm very passionate about. Like I love working with children, and I love exploring like the inner workings of the brain, and I think trauma is something that a lot of people don't realize that they like have had experience with, and defining what trauma actually is. So that's something that I am kind of like looking to go back to school for. Obviously that's like a different story when you're studying for the GRE and you're kind of like, oh man, it's not just about applying, it's also about like learning other things outside of it.
So what got you interested in that?
So I guess like kind of just my own lived experiences, as well as I feel like I was talking with Brooke the other day about this, how like every job I've ever had, I've worked with kids, and it never was intentional. It always just kind of happened. So, like, my first job that I got, what was my first job? I was working at a McDonald's that had, like, a kiddie playland. So we had a playground inside of our McDonald's, and so there was always a bunch of kids at that McDonald's. And then the next job I had was working at Kentucky Kingdom, and I didn't ask this, but they put me in, like, the kiddie land area. My gosh. Yeah, and
so
it's
just not like you're like, I want to be a babysitter when I grow up.
No, it just happened.
They're
People
like,
always...
she has a nice smile. The kids won't be afraid of her. Go
away. It's like they're not intimidated by this, like, 6 foot, like, giant, and they're just like, no, she's smiling. I'm happy, too.
You have a very open, welcoming face.
Oh, thank you.
So you're
Okay.
probably like loving the masks now because not as many people approach you and say like have to talk to you. Although if you are like me, it made no difference.
Oh, yeah.
It's like your eyes are as welcoming as your smile. Unfortunately, the masks only help so much.
Yep. That's so true.
So,
But not to like dive too much into that, but that's just kind of something like I'm very passionate about working with kids, and so that's something that I would like to pursue.
and do you currently work in a psych field right now apart from Manic Macarons?
Yeah,
Or-
so right now Manic Macarons is like, we call it like our full-time job. I always use quotations whenever I say that, but like it technically is, because that's basically our baby. Like we do want to nurture that and grow into something
and
that's
you're spending more
bigger.
than you're spending like 40 hours or more a week on
Oh,
Manic
yeah.
Macarons. Okay.
Well over.
Okay.
It is definitely, but it's really rewarding, and yeah, like Brooke said, there's a lot of work that goes into the inner working. So, so that's me, Cynthia, and then
So my background of psychology is a little different. I don't yet have my degree. I'm still working on my undergrad in psychology.
Okay.
I am working towards being an occupational therapist.
Oh, nice.
So we are both former registered behavior therapists,
Okay.
which is kind of what kickstarted my personal like push towards psychology and the like what I wanted to do with it. So we worked in a clinic that was a therapy for autism.
yeah, it's specialized, in,
Right. Actually before that I worked at Friend
school.
School. So that's probably where it kickstarted now that I'm thinking about it.
So, did you have to become a registered behavior technician in order to do those jobs, or is that something that you went into after starting those jobs?
So, once we got the certification to be the registered behavior therapist, it was it's an ABA therapy, so applied behavior analysis.
Okay. Do you have to have a bachelor's for that, or
do
you
not.
don't. You
Is
said
it
that have
no?
a high school degree.
Yeah,
And basically a registered behavior technician works directly under the supervision of a board certified behavior analyst, which is called a BCBA. There's a lot of acronyms
I
in
did
this.
just meet one of those the other day.
Oh, yeah, they're
and so
everywhere.
That's the only reason I have any frame of reference. Where like, you're telling me right now.
Yeah, and they like specifically look at behavior. So if you hear like B.F. Skinner in the Skinner box, and they look at like basically like operant conditioning versus like classical conditioning, which is more Pavlov. They look at like training people and looking at behavior and kind of like manipulating behavior in a sense. I'm sorry, all the BCBAs that are listening to me explain ABA. So just ignore that and pretend like you know where I'm going, okay?
Let me narrow down the chronology because I'm a little. So, you were in high school together? Did you, out of high school, both get trained to be the registered behavior?
No, we went our separate ways for a little bit.
Okay, and you
We always kept in touch, but
Yeah.
that wasn't something that we pursued right away.
You're working
yeah.
on your bachelor's right now,
Yes.
Brooke. And then Cynthia, you got a bachelor's in psychology already?
Yes.
Is that what we did? Okay. But then you worked both as the registered behavioral
Yes.
therapist.
So she actually studied abroad in Japan for
Yeah.
a year, almost 2
About a
years.
year and a half, yeah, almost
almost
And
2
you
years.
Came back.
Yes,
Oh my
She
goodness.
came back, thank goodness. And she was just looking for a job, and I was already working at the clinic, and so we got her on there.
Yeah.
And then
Great.
we just kind of followed each other after.
But even after like my college degree, I worked at Our Lady of Peace, which is a psychiatric hospital in Louisville. So again, like it's always been that background. The reason I went to Japan was to teach English abroad. I also wanted to kind of just get like some cultural experience. I've lived in Louisville my whole life, so it's kind of like I felt very sheltered about the world. So I was like, my first time leaving Louisville, I just graduated college. Like, go big or go home. Why not Japan? So yeah, so that's where that was.
Did everything you got come out of a vending machine of some sort?
Oh man, you will be amazed at what you can buy out of a vending machine in Japan.
Right?
And they are everywhere. Like in some of the most obscure locations. Like I was in like the Inaka of Japan.
What's a knock?
The Inaka just means countryside. Okay. So it literally translates to countryside.
Okay.
So basically like
You were out in the sticks.
I was out in the Kentuckys of Japan, not the Louisville parts, like the other parts of
rural
Kentucky.
Japan.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like there would just be vending machines like down a dark road where it's just like nothing but rice paddy
For
fields.
food, drinks, shoes,
Typically
clothes.
typically drinks. The ones that are like food or clothing related definitely were more so in the cities, like the
Okay.
bigger cities for sure. I didn't live in Tokyo, but like I heard that you could buy like alcoholic beverages inside of some of those vending machines
I
too.
believe that. I mean, during COVID, we almost got that point here. But, whatever.
That's a good point.
But that wouldn't mix well with a whole lot of psych drugs that you probably have heard of. So, how did you start talking about doing this cookie side of the business? What you guys were already working together. So, how did the cookie thing start? Were you making cookies at work and came up with the idea, or?
That was you. That was Brooke.
So when COVID hit, I started watching the British Baking Show.
Yeah.
Pretty obsessively.
Okay.
It's a good show. It's a good show.
Yeah. Colorful. There's your culture right there.
Yeah.
She didn't even have to go anywhere.
I know, right? I got it in my living room.
And they pull people from the continent and all over.
They
It's not
do.
just British people on the show.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with that.
So once I got into that, I started baking a lot of breads and other like pastries and stuff.
Hashtag quarantine chef.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. That's what my Snapchat story looked like. And then I think at Costco, it was at Costco, we found like a box of macarons. We had never had any.
Yeah.
And so we like tried them and we were like, oh my gosh, these are incredible.
We
Wow.
being her and
Yeah,
her
me and my
fiancé.
fiance. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like she was with him,
I was still working, not with her yet.
But so we tried them and fell in love with them, and I wanted them every single time we went from there on, but they never had them, and they were super expensive. They were so expensive.
They are so expensive.
And so I tried making them because, like, hello, Betty Crocker over here.
And then what happened the first time
They
you
turned
made them?
out awful. They were awful. They were so bad. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Like, this is insane. And Cynthia was over, and like, she had tried some. We had her and her boyfriend over for a day night.
They were delicious. Like they still tasted like sugar and almond flour. You know that you can't ruin that taste, but they were not
they
a
weren't
macaron.
burnt. They were just.
No,
They just
like,
didn't
they
have
tasted
any-
okay. They
It
were
was
just
the texture.
Oh my gosh,
They were flat
It was
as
literally a
pancake.
cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a cookie. It was not like a delicate pastry. But and then we just got to brainstorming, and like she wanted to try making them, so she came over and we tried making them, and we were just like, yo, we can do this.
Because
like,
I too had also watched the British Bake Off, as well as numerous what is it, the food channel, the Food Network, where they have like the spring bakers and even like the little kid bakers. And so you see this little 8-year-old kid baking macarons, and you think, oh, I could do that. If an 8-year-old kid can do that.
Yes.
Can I live with myself if I can't do it when this 8-year-old
Right.
can do it? That's the question.
it took us probably 2 or 3 months to get a recipe down to where we weren't crying every day.
So, like, are there not written recipes that...
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Gosh. Okay, so there's so it's so crazy, because it's feel like anyone that's ever made macarons understands that like there is a certain process that you have to do, but on top of that, everyone has their own way of making them. And for some odd reason, if you don't make it the right way, it will come out bad, but everyone makes them differently. It's like,
is it because people have different ovens with different settings?
It's
There's
everything.
so
It's
many
ovens,
different
it's
factors.
humidity, it's
Yeah.
the way you macaronage,
It's your altitude.
it's
Right, altitude.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. The method that you use, there are 3 different methods. We use Italian. A lot. The most popular is French. But it's everything.
Wow.
Everything. Everyone does it differently. We're in a lot of groups.
So the fact that you two can do it together the same way is like, what, a miracle?
I know, right? It's like we're like
That
the
you share
only
a
two
method.
people that share the method. Like even down to like, I think the one thing that like I didn't even realize that we do this, but like when you cook, we cook them on cookie sheets, but we flip the cookie sheet so that the flat part is up and the little sides are facing down, because the heat could be blocked by those edges, which would cause the side ones not to rise. So it's like even down to like little tiny things like
It's
that,
just little
you
quirky
know?
things.
gosh.
Like
Yeah. It took 2 months to just figure out everything. Like it's
Lord,
like one
help us
thing
if you
goes
try
wrong.
to use a convection oven.
It'd probably be better. I know a lot of people
You
use
just have to tweak your times.
Yes.
And now that we have like the recipe down and the technique and all of that stuff, I feel like it's easier to kind of manipulate those temperatures.
Like if
and
you had to work
times
with a
and-
different stove.
Yeah, I feel like it'd
we
be
actually
easier to kinda
it would be
do that.
easier to do a convection oven, because right now we can only cook one tray at a time, and so one batch will give us about 3 to 4 trays. And so each tray takes 20 minutes and 30 seconds to the T to bake.
And so if you had a convection oven to circulate the air, then you could use multiple layers of it, and without worrying about it obstructing the heat.
Exactly.
And we've experimented with that too, like putting one like kind of like a skew, and then one on the bottom where it's kind of a skew, and so it's not like directly underneath the one on top, and it's like they don't come out even. Like it's like one tray at a time for like...
It would probably cut our baking time down tremendously.
Yeah, significantly for sure.
Like you could do 4 times as much at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so for all those people out there that are making macarons and are in the beginning stages of their process,
keep trying.
Like, keep going. Like, you got it.
And good luck.
Or don't come by ours.
And if you really...
We should talk about, like, what these two things have to do with one another, because we have not talked about that at all.
Yeah, okay.
So, why is there a brain inside your macaron on this t-shirt that I'm wearing?
So, that's kind of like the manic behind our macarons. I think the first time that we made macarons, we were just like, when they came out right, we were just in such awe at like the fact that they had come out successful.
So excited.
We were ready. We were ready to start. We were ready to start a business. Like I think at that moment,
we got this. Let's go.
Yeah, I think Brooke was like, we should call it. You said Mama's Mac.
Mama's Mac.
And I was like, that's cute, but like I don't have a kid.
But she's not a mom.
Like, yeah, I was like, where do I fit in this?
I'll be your mama.
And then
I'll be your sugar mama.
Yeah, and then it was actually Brooke's fiance Scott that came up with the name, because I think he said, "Man, these are manic." Like something about like I think the flavor we made was that the creme brulee one?
Yep, that was our first
we
one.
We never made it again.
We have not made it again.
My husband loves creme brulee, so if you do, let me know, because I'll get some for him.
I think we're ready to tackle it probably now, but we were so out of our league then.
But he was like, "Man, these macarons are manic." He's like, "There's just a lot of personality in this bite," and we were thinking like, oh my gosh, like manic, like personalities, like, you know, like let's put 2 and 2 together, like, you know, with psychology. This is something that we both, again, like have a background in a field in, and it kind of just like from that name alone, we like literally, like, I think we looked at each other and we both knew. We were like, oh my God, manic macarons. Like, let's spread awareness about different mental disorders through macarons, you know? Like...
So, like what? How to binge eat cookies? Or like...
Yeah, so it's kind of like... So, like, because we have these backgrounds in psychology, we've come to realize that, like, especially with regards to mental disorders, that anything with mental health in general, it's always, you run into this issue where, like, organizations or hospitals, you see they're always, like, chronically underfunded, understaffed, and undertrained. Mental disorders to this day are still highly stigmatized in society. And the thing is, like, we always say, like, we're not trying to normalize mental disorders, because, like, mental disorders are technically the norm. Like, over 60% of people suffer from or have suffered from some type of mental illness disorder, you know,
something that can be found in the DSM.
Exactly, yeah. So even if that is like just generalized anxiety or like depression, like, you know, there's different types of depression out there. Like you can have seasonal depressive disorder, or you can have like,
is why we have our depression macaron.
What is a depression macaron? Is it already caved in?
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, you're fine.
So the idea behind our depression macaron is it is a black macaron.
What
the
flavor
depression
is
is very
that?
dark. It is a passion fruit.
yeah. So
you don't expect a black thing to taste like a
that
passion
goes back
fruit.
to what we're trying to do, and it kind of like goes back to, again, like using our macarons to spread awareness about different mental disorders. So with the depression macaron, it's all about, like, the reason why we made it a passion fruit is because we want to explain, you know, even though people who may be suffering from depression may feel like this overwhelming sadness, they're still full of life and still full of passion, you know?
Oh my gosh!
So, yeah.
It is also rainbow. The buttercream on the inside is also rainbow, to show that even though maybe on the outside you're showing that depression, like on the inside
You're still full of life.
you're still full of life.
It's in there. You just got to get past these sad
is there
chemicals.
too.
Yeah. So that's where we're at with that. But again, it's just like to advocate for people who often can't advocate for themselves. I think that mental disorders are not only often overlooked in our society, but kind of just like stigmatized. And again, going back to that, it is more than often the norm. Like a lot of people do struggle with mental disorders, and even if you aren't struggling with one directly yourself, you know someone who does, you know, and it's not these mental disorders aren't just something that impacts one person. You know, like I grew up with a sister who had bipolar disorder, and I have two younger brothers that are on the autism spectrum disorder who have a diagnosis. And it's kind of like you realize that it's not something that just affects one person in that family, it affects that entire family, you know, and in turn it affects an entire community, you know? So that's what we want to go with that. Again, we're just like starting off with really, really small.
But on Wednesdays, on our social media, we have Wellness Wednesdays, and we like to just kind of spread awareness and give like tips and advice and like just kind of feel how everybody's feeling about like a certain subject. Our last one was about a broken macaron. It was imperfect, but it tasted wonderful, and we just want to kind of like create an open forum for people to discuss like what they're going through or how to cope with things, or like kind of anything that they want to talk about. Just it doesn't even have to be mental
just
related.
A conversation starter. You have a topic for a conversation starter. So I'll have to look at that on Wednesdays and maybe reshare whatever your topic is for the Wednesdays. That's great. Because, you know, everybody talks about Taco Tuesday, but it's like every other day could be a thing too.
Yeah,
so
like
Wellness Wednesday.
Wednesdays.
Let's do it. And like we'd had Food Truck Friday at work for a while, but they're not doing it anymore.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, no, Friday needs a new thing.
Norton Commons has a Food Truck Friday.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
But I work at Women's and Children's. So we were saying, I want you to talk about that disorder pack. Like that I bought from you. There was an adorable Cookie Monster looking cookie, which was like layers of cookiness. Right? So
it was a cookie inside of a cookie.
Right, it
of
had
a different
edible
cookie.
eyeballs and everything.
Yes.
So what is each one of the cookies in your disorder pack?
Yeah, so right now, the not the top 5, I don't want to say it's the top 5, but just the 5 disorders that we've picked this month to spread awareness about. I think we've actually switched one.
We did. We switched
bipolar disorder out for
ADHD.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's just because I think the mocha, a lot of people were asking for us to bring the mocha back. So we were like, well, let's get the people what they want. They want ADHD.
They do. We won't put Ritalin in it, but here's your sugar.
Yeah. So right now we have 5 macarons that we're using to spread awareness about. The first one is our ADHD, so attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Sorry, there's a lot of acronyms going around.
And what is it? What color is it?
It is it's a natural color. It's like a tan.
Okay, because you said it's mocha flavored.
Yep. So we put coffee in it. Coffee is a natural stimulant.
That's true.
And people with ADHD, I know a bunch of kids who have ADHD, their parents will sometimes give them coffee. It kind of regulates.
In addition to their stimulant drugs, or before they're on.
That's none of my business.
Also, like, we're not trained clinicians.
We are not
like by any means.
We are not.
Anything that you hear us
like,
say,
if you're on a stimulant, do you need more coffee? I don't know.
I've never heard that.
Now, maybe if your kid is so young, you're like, I don't want to put on Ritalin. Here, have some coffee.
No, I thought it was a little different when I heard about it too, but
now I make angel coffee for my daughter. You met my daughter. Does she lack energy? No. But when I drink a cup of coffee, just like Brooke, you have a daughter, and our little girls, they want to copy everything we do. So she's like, I want some coffee. So I'll make her some milk. I'll make it warm in the microwave, and then I'll put a spoonful or 2 of my coffee in it, and then she has her coffee milk while I have my coffee, and then we match.
Oh, that's
cute.
Yeah.
That's really cute.
But that's about as much as she's gonna do. Because I want her to go to bed. Okay, so we've got the ADHD mocha cookie, and what's next?
Yes, and so the next one that we have is our strawberry lemonade, which is our obsessive compulsive disorder, and there's actually a little spiral pattern drawn on top. And so with the strawberry lemonade, we actually put Pop Rocks on the buttercream, and those Pop Rocks are to basically represent the intrusive thoughts that people with OCD might have that lead to them to perform those compulsive behaviors, like the intrusive thoughts of like your hands are dirty, the germs that are on your hands, and then it leads to that behavior of needing to wash your hands excessively, which we kind of like represented very like plainly in the spiral that we've drawn on top, where sometimes it can spin a little bit out of control,
or a lot out of control.
Yeah,
like a hurricane.
Yeah, and that's just to kind of like spread awareness about, because you hear a lot of people say like, oh, I have OCD, like I can't have this paper this way or something, and it's kind of like not making light of the disorder, but like we want to spread awareness.
It's
about
a lack of understanding about the extent. That it takes to have the disorder. Yeah.
Because for people who do have OCD, it can be a bit debilitating at times,
Exactly, and they can't control it. They can't just say, oh, I have a problem with this, and it's not a passive thing.
Yeah,
right.
Or it's like, oh, my room is so messy, like, I can't, like, and I need to clean it because I'm OCD or whatever.
If you were OCD, your room wouldn't be messy.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't get to that point.
It really makes me think of Monk. Do you remember the detective show, Monk?
I think I do. I
don't think I ever watched it, but
it was like an older white gentleman that was like, oh no,
he was brown.
Oh, he was.
Like,
Never mind.
I think like Puerto Rican or something.
I think I'm thinking of Mr. Bean. Actually,
I think you are thinking of Mr. Bean.
Was it not?
He was English, but no, this guy was like super just nitpick. I don't know what disorder he had. How about we all go back and rewatch Monk and we'll find out what is wrong with him, because he had a diagnosis and he had a helper. Anyway, what's the third one in your 5-pack of disorders?
So the third one would be our binge eating disorder, which we can't legally tell you what Sesame Street character that is named after.
But one that likes cookies?
Ooh. Yes, but one that is very, very obsessed with cookies. And so the idea behind our binge eating disorder is kind of just to basically use this character to show how he can be like mnemonic, his episodes of like eating these cookies kind of like compulsively, how that can be mnemonic of someone who may be suffering from binge eating disorder, where often when they get triggered, it's hard for them to not turn to food to turn to food for comfort. So that's what our idea behind like binge eating disorder is. And again, like that one, I feel like we kind of get mixed reviews on. I think that people
for the taste.
Well, just for the concept, I think that people see, oh, Cookie Monster, oh, that's funny, he's representing this disorder, which we never want to make light of people's disorders. It's always trying to be informative. But I think that once people
didn't want to make a bulimic cookie, though. So I mean, not that we don't want to go too dark with it either.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, we
putting
want
a
to
friendly
get to the
face
point.
on it. I think that's why I stopped to talk to you, was because of the Cookie Monster one.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Because before I even saw the brain on the T-shirt or the sign, because like as a neuro nurse, anytime there's a brain, I get like, it piques my interest, right? I'm like, what are they doing over there? And but I saw the Cookie Monster or like colored thing, and so I had to go back. I was like, what is this about? This is so cute,
These little googly eyes.
right? So I don't even remember the flavor. I think I ate it, but I had to give most of it to my husband, because that's what I call him.
It's definitely cookie dough.
Yes. Oh, that's the flavor is
Yeah,
cookie
it's
dough.
cookie dough.
Okay, so what's the fourth one in the 5-pack?
So the fourth one is our. I'm trying to.
We already talked about the depression.
Order. Yes. So the first one was the depression. And again, that was the passion fruit.
So our
with
last
the
one is
buttercream
generalized
inside.
anxiety.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is our lavender honey. And the reason why we chose the lavender honey to go with that is because, like, people with generalized anxiety often find themselves stressed or feeling worrisome about things that they can't often control. And so we think, like, what's something that, like, when you're stressed, what's something that would soothe you, And, like, we think, like, lavender and honey, like a nice cup of tea. So it's, like, the soothing flavors of lavender and honey will help people, like, with generalized anxiety, where, we talk more about the disorder where, it leads you to worry excessively about these things. So,
And the combination of those flavors is just
I think
amazing.
Like between that one and the cookie dough, those are our top two disorder sellers for sure. Nice. Yeah, the lavender honey and the cookie dough.
Agreed.
Do you think it's because of the colors, though? Because people don't get to taste them before they buy them.
I know that's true. I think it is because of how they look.
Yeah.
I think I think that the flavors too, like people hear, ooh, lavender honey, and so like when they look at our menu, like our little like post-it little cards, they hear, ooh, lavender honey, that sounds good. So
especially if you're selling them at a farmer's market, because then all the crunchy people are like, oh, that's what I need to get. But also, I feel like you should probably put in bold print passion flower flavor next to the black cookie, because I never would have thought of that. I would be like, what is this supposed to taste like? Maybe at best fudgy.
We've actually gotten feedback on our depression one. We used to decorate them with gold sprinkles, and someone told us that they looked like hamburgers. Macarons.
Oh.
And so we were like,
well,
that's not where we're going with that.
No.
Switch that up a little bit.
So we definitely changed that one to be a little more appealing. Not that depression is appealing to anyone, but you know.
But then you put like the rainbow swirl stuff on the inside. So that was smart. I like that. So it's not like flat matte black all the way through, but it's because like as someone who has dealt with depression, I definitely know how it's just hard to see things outside of, like, you have rose colored glasses or you could have dark cloud colored glasses. So even if you are capable of having like a happiness on the inside, it's like you just can't see past all of these dark thoughts, right? And so I think the macaron would totally resonate with me in that. So thank you for sharing that and for raising awareness about how normal it is to deal with a mental health issue. And also you are aware of the resources in our community, so if someone starts talking to you about it, you could probably point them in the direction of where they can get help, right?
Yep. Those are also listed on all of our menus.
And your website?
We carry with us. It is on our website, or well, not our website.
Well,
our
your
social media
on
pages.
your social media.
Our website is in the works.
Yes,
We're working on that. So.
Very cool.
Yes.
All right.
But yeah, those are definitely listed for.
And then what's your Instagram handle?
It is at manic.macarons.
Okay.
And that's macarons with 1 O, not 2.
That's right.
The other one is macaroons. So we always
there is a Manic.macaroons.
Oh no, I don't think so.
We
We don't know. We just
okay. The
don't
other
want
kind
people
of
to
cookie.
think macaroons and then type in the wrong word.
I have come to learn that macaroons are cookies that involve coconut.
Yes.
And yours do not involve coconuts.
No,
We have a
unless we have a
toasted
coconut
coconut
flavored one.
one.
But it's seasonal and may not always be available.
Yeah, so
Whereas
unless you guys
macaroons
really
always
like the coconut, then we will make it available whenever you guys want.
Okay.
But we actually joke about making a poster that has like a picture of like a macaron on it and be like, this is a macaron, and then next to that is a macaroon, and then next to that is like macaroni, like joking about it. Like,
Yes.
these are the difference between all of these words that sound similar.
Because like it would help the common people like me who I didn't go to culinary school, and I'm not a big cookie person, honestly. I love cheesecake.
Yeah.
My husband loves cookies, so I'm like, here, have all the cookies. So you guys are educating me so much.
Oh yeah, we're actually working on a cheesecake one too. Right now
My birthday is October 2nd.
we're actually looking to make a strawberry cheesecake. And we're thinking we're gonna make that one our borderline personality disorder.
Yes.
So yeah. So
do
again,
I
there's
have
just
to have
always...
a borderline personality disorder diagnosis to eat the macaron?
But we can't promise you won't have it after you eat it.
Fair. I'll split off. This is me on macarons. This is me not on macarons. Well, thank you, Brooke and Cynthia, for sharing this with us. And where can people buy the macarons from you? Can they order them online?
Yes, they can. They can follow us on our social media on Facebook and Instagram and place orders that way, or they can come see us at farmers markets. We post on our social media which ones we're going to be at every week.
Okay.
We
Does
also
it change
post
every
menus.
week?
It will upcoming. Normally we'll do Jeffersontown Farmers Market on Saturday mornings and then Norton Commons on Sunday afternoons.
Okay.
But in the upcoming weeks we do have a few appearances at other places that we're going to be making.
Yeah, we're gonna start looking to split too. So
so
because
you'll
there's
have
two
two
of us,
different
so we'll
stands.
so we'll be able to divide and conquer, as
Yes.
they say. So
That's right. Double up. All right. Well, now you can find Manic Macarons and check them out on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. All right. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
bye.